In this video, we'll be looking at how to get started with Chintaro Cloud, which is the cloud-based version of Chintaro. This means your organization's Chintaro database is held in the cloud and you can connect to it from any internet-connected device. To access your database on the cloud, we use an application called Parallels, which acts similar to a Citrix environment where users remote into our server. This video will show you how to connect to and navigate around Parallels Client and Chintaro Cloud. After the Parallels client is installed on your desktop, double-click this icon to open. When users connect, there will be two gateways they go through, each with their own username and password, with the first being logging into Parallels. Once this has been set up, users don't need to remember these credentials. They can be set automatically to save and connect. Then once they're in the Parallels gateway, the users log into the second gateway, which is Chintaro. If your organization has moved from Chintaro locally installed at your organization to Chintaro Cloud, the username and password for Chintaro will remain the same. In the Parallels client connection, we can see the connections on the left-hand side. Users could have one connection or multiple connections, and this is their Parallels username and license. All licenses for Chintaro Cloud are managed and distributed internally by your Chintaro system administrator. We'll be setting up one connection, and to do this, we click File and New Connection. Leave the Parallels Remote Application Service selected and click Next. Then we enter the server name as chintarocloud.com.au. Leave the connection mode selected as Gateway SSL mode and enter a friendly name as how you would like to differentiate this Parallels license within your organization. We suggest using the username that we provide to you as the friendly name, as this will make it easy for the users when they contact Chintaro support. Next, click on Advanced Settings and change the port to 444. Skip down to the logon details and enter the Parallels username and password Chintaro support have provided to you. Please note that this is not the same as your Chintaro credentials. This is the username and password for Parallels. The domain name is Chintaro with a capital C. Leave the Save Password box ticked and click on OK. You'll see a pop-up message that you're connecting to Parallels, and once you see the icons here, you'll know that you've successfully logged into the initial gateway of the Chintaro Cloud server. We can also see the connection screen on the left-hand side, as this will show as blue with two red lines, meaning it's connected. To disconnect from this session, right-click the connection, select Disconnect, and the screen will show as grey. To log in again, double-click on the connection on the left-hand side. The screen will show as blue with two red lines again, and this means that we've automatically connected. Once we've connected, the icons on the right-hand side will show different applications that each user will see. Each license has several applications published to it, including Microsoft Word, Windows Explorer, Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Excel, Google Chrome, and Chintaro. We'll look at logging into Chintaro first, and to open up Chintaro, we just double-click the icon here. We're presented with a login screen that will look slightly different for SQLX and Access users, but the logon process is the same. If you're an existing Chintaro user who's just moved to the cloud, enter your Chintaro credentials exactly the same as you previously did. If you are new to Chintaro, enter the username and password as SA and SA. We'll click Quit here and close Chintaro. Once we exit Chintaro, we'll see it Parallels has minimized itself, and to open again, we double-click on the icon. We can see it's still logged in, and we can choose a setting so that this window remains open as a default if we wish, or it can be pinned to the taskbar also. When we're in Chintaro, there are several functions that link to an application outside of the database, such as running word merges, creating exports, and sending emails to our clients. When you run these functions, Chintaro looks for the local copy of Word, Excel, or Outlook to complete the action, but in Chintaro Cloud, this will look for the application within Parallels to complete the action. If we want to send emails from Chintaro, for instance, sending work orders, we need to ensure that we have Outlook set up and ready in Parallels before we send the email. To set this up, double-click on the Outlook icon. When a Parallels application is open, we can see the icon of the app has two parallel lines in it, so users can differentiate between the Outlook on their local machine and the application open within Parallels by looking for these two red lines. Each user needs to set up their Outlook by following the steps in this link. Please note that you'll need to have your Outlook username and password available to do this, and if you're unsure what this is, you'll need to speak to the IT person or company that created this account for you. We'll close this one for the moment and move on to opening the Windows Explorer. Every organisation has a data folder that's on the cloud, and this contains your databases, templates, and other Chintaro export folders, which is in the data folder mapped F here. From the Windows Explorer, you'll be able to see your own network drives, and these will usually have your PC name after them to differentiate between your local drives and the drives on the cloud. This will enable you to save documents and files outside of Chintaro Cloud and onto your network, and also so that you can print to a printer on your network. The C drive within Parallels is for program files like on your PC, and it's the place that we store application files such as Access and Word. The D drive is a copy of the backups which users can't log into, but if you do need a copy of a backup, we'll be happy to send one to you. The only cloud drive that you have access to is the F drive, and that's the data folder that you do have access to. When we open this, we see all of the company folders within this drive, and we need to look for our own folder. If you try and open another company's folder, you'll get a message that you don't have permission to access that folder, and that's because we use an access control list, so only the users at your organisation can access your company folder. When you double click on your folder, you'll see the data folder, an MDB folder, and the users folders. The users folders contain all the necessary files required to run Chintaro, none of which you'll need to access because Chintaro support will update your version or copy of the code when we have a new release. The MDB folder is for Chintaro support to use when you require assistance, so you'll leave this one also. The folder that you will be interested in is the data folder, and if you've moved from Chintaro installed locally at your office to Chintaro Cloud, this data folder will look exactly the same as it was before prior to the migration. Your templates will show as the same, the inspection exports and images folders will be the same, and so on. If you're new to Chintaro, your templates folder is where we store reporting and word merge templates for generating from Chintaro, and if you'd like to know more about this, please contact Chintaro support. Please note the data folder is the only folder that we back up. So if you wish to save a report or a letter that you create from Chintaro in the cloud, it needs to be saved to this data folder. We don't need to back up the code database folder because if something happens, Chintaro support can easily replace it. We back up and store your data for the last 7 days, and this is done each morning at 1 a.m. We also keep a backup from the last day of the month and from each of end of financial year date, so we'll always keep a backup of the last 7 days plus each database at the end of the month. We'll close the Windows Explorer and move on to having a look at printing from Chintaro. When the user first logs in of a morning, the connection to Parallels also connects the connection to the printer. If there's a problem and it disconnects, the user will lose connection to the printers, just like Citrix. To check the default printer, we recommend that when the user first logs in, they open Word, select File and Print, and check that the printer in this section is the printer that they would like to connect to as a default. If you've got multiple network printers or a user would like to connect to a different printer than the default that Parallels is picking up, we need to set that default printer. To do this, right-click on the connection on the left-hand side and select Connection Properties. Select the Printing tab and ensure RAS Universal Printing Technology is selected. Then drop the Redirect Printers box down to Specific Only and select the printer that you would like to connect to from this box. Then change the default printer settings and select the printer you would like to print to as a default from this box. Then we need to match the exact printer name and OK. And we need to log out and log back into Parallels to apply these changes. If you've done this or if you experience any issues with connecting to printers, please contact Chintaro support. Because your data is stored on the cloud, you can access it anywhere that you have an internet connection, including on an iPad. If you would like to view Chintaro on the web, Chintaro support will provide you with the URL to do this, but please note that you cannot connect to your network from the web browser. So if you need to save, import or export data, you'll need to be logged into this Parallels client on your desktop to do so. If you have an iPad, there's a Parallels app that you can download and install and use the same credentials as we first used to log in to access Chintaro on the iPad. If you'd like any further information about what's covered in this video or about Chintaro Cloud, please have a look at our knowledge base or contact support@chintaro.com.au.